0, 1. Let's get started.
All right, everyone. Hello and welcome back. Now, in today's episode, I'm sharing with you all my exact S&P 500 game plan so we all can make some cash on tomorrow's market session, which would be November the 14th, okay? Now, I'm well aware that some of you may not trade the S&P 500, so after we do the S&P 500, we will be talking about a stock that I think is also set to explode in tomorrow's market session, all right? So that being said, let me get my big face out of the way. As you can clearly see all the different tiers as well as course information if you want to learn the system for yourself or get the unedited live stream that I have every single day. Now, we talked about this pretty much this very bearish situation happening in yesterday's video in which we were coming down into the supportive structure underneath, okay? So it should have been no surprise that the market was going to roll over in the effect that it did. Now, with that being said, we can kind of get rid of everything because I think what is most important is pretty obviously this bigger move that's gone to the downside, okay? Now, typically when you see a big move like this, you often are going to see the market have some sort of pullback and then ultimately look to retest the prior low, okay? Now, that's going to be the major objective for me personally while looking into the market for tomorrow specifically. So again, looking at this as a bearish move ultimately, because once we get up above some of those prior highs, we would be looking for rejection to come back to the downside. Now, alternatively, obviously the market can be bullish. I'm not opposed to that at all. And if it does want to do that, then obviously a rotation to the upside will have to be strong. And if you get that strength, then obviously this is a continuation pattern, and we will be treating this bullish overall, okay? Now, they're distinctly different, so when you see this happen, you kind of have to be aware what you're looking for, okay? Now, other than these two variations, I think the last one that we need to talk about is the fact that if we just barcode down here. So if I use this example on the left-hand side to illustrate price action currently, a barcode is basically the consolidation to the right-hand side, okay? Now, you can kind of see we're already starting something that looks similar. Now, if we do end up barcoding, the overall prevailing momentum is clearly bearish, okay? That means that in this situation, a bullish breakout is more likely to occur, but it will be a false breakout. And in that scenario, you're basically looking to fade this market back down through its range rotation like so, okay? So this is obviously very subjective, and we can obviously look for a different range tomorrow, but this is just a general outline of what we can be expecting, okay? Now, the three variations I just showed you are the most probable for tomorrow, but obviously there are other ones you need to be aware of. So if you do want to see this exact setup and me trade this exact same game plan that we talked about today, tomorrow, then be sure to join me at 9:30 on my YouTube channel where I have the live stream where you can see me do all this in action, okay? Now, that being said, let's click off of the SPY and let's talk about the number one stock for tomorrow. Now, it's going to be Apple, okay? Now, I like Apple for a host of reasons, but what you'll soon see as the charts are loading is that I really like Apple because of the fact that it is in a range, okay? So if you look at Apple right here, it's pretty clear and obvious that this is a range here, okay? Now, if we kind of go in on the exact range, you can see that it is looking like this. So we have this bigger move going up. We have a three-legged pullback, push up, some sort of three-legged pullback, push up, here, 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 like so, and like so. Okay, this is important in determining where the range is. I know it just looks like I'm drawing, but we can figure out the range midpoint now. Now, using all of these lines, we need to figure out kind of like the lowest high and the highest low. So subjectively, just using like my visual eye, I'd say that it's probably somewhere like this. Okay, so this is going to be the range. Then now we can move forward. So if this being the range midpoint, we can figure out the deviations now both above and below, which will look something like similar to this. So we have major support looking very similar to this, and pretty close to these levels above is going to be resistance, okay? So now the market doesn't look completely random. As you can see, we have been rotating pretty cleanly in this range. So subjectively, because the market is bullish going into this range, we would be favoring the fact that for tomorrow's session, if we do break down for whatever reason, we would favor the fact that we're actually going to be looking for a rotation going back up into the range, all the way back into that 275.5 level, okay? Now, besides this happening, I think it's important to note that we could obviously break down, and very similar to like we talked about in the SPY, if we do break down substantially from this position, we can now then look to sell pullbacks as we look to continue going lower, okay? Now, in this situation, it's very important to note how deep the breakout leg goes, because on that pullback, we will be using that as a measuring leg. So let's just say in this situation, the breakout leg is like this, highlighted here in yellow. Then on the pullback and continuation, the next entry, which we're actually looking to sell, we would use that same leg as our projections for that third leg lower. Okay? I know that's a lot, but hopefully you can rewind this and understand this concept a bit better. But again, the first leg for the breakout is oftentimes going to be the third leg of the breakout. So again, in that situation, if we do break down bearishly, that's how we get that. We are looking, like I said, to favor the bulls. So we should see something a bit more tight like so. And in the effect, actually, everyone, if we do go up higher first, that will be actually pretty interesting, because what we should see as we rotate up is maybe an opportunity to buy on the way up, okay? However, what you would really be waiting for, quite honestly, is a rejection at the highs, okay? So don't be too surprised if the market actually ends up rejecting, like it's been doing, all of these prior highs on the 12th, the 13th, and I guess it's on the 12th as well. But you would be looking for something like this, in which we now swing back to the downside, okay? Now, this can be mirrored image and copied for what we're expecting. So once we do rotate lower, we can basically just use all the same game plans for that next move and what could happen, okay? So this is basically the game plan that I have for tomorrow. I would really like for us to go down first in this green case scenario, in which we can look for buying opportunities. And if not, then obviously if we get back up to the prior highs, I would be looking for sells other than buying opportunities, okay? It would take a really, really big move going up and out of this range for me to change my mind from selling to buying. So just be aware that that's kind of the general game plan when trading Apple for not only tomorrow, but for the next week's session as well, okay? So again, everyone, this is the professional strategy that I've been using for the last 5 years that has allowed me to become a day trader, and this is all I do, okay? So feel free to like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below on any questions that you had on the video or any stocks of interest, and I'll be sure to see you tomorrow during the live stream at 9:30, okay? So be safe, trade safe, and I'm sure I'll see you all on the next candle.
I know it's hard to trust so-called gurus. That's why I live stream my trades every single day, Monday through Friday, starting at 9:30 a.m. The live stream isn't for you to copy my trades, it's to show proof and credibility that my strategy works. The stream is delayed and muted to protect my edge. But if you want to see everything unmuted and in real time, check out the Discord and Patreon links below. You'll get exclusive perks and the opportunity to learn the system for yourself, so you don't miss great opportunities just like this one.
All right, everyone. So you're going to be seeing a trade that I just recently took live during the stream, and ultimately you can be a part of this too, so make sure you look down below. But when taking a look at the trade that we just recently took here, it was the objective coming in was the fact that we had a really big move push to the upside, okay? Now this big move to the upside was basically counterplayed by a pullback, and subsequently our entry was to look to get in right above a couple pivots to retest the prior high, okay? So what you're seeing right now is the replay of my actual entry, which was right here at this 68.1925 area. And again, ultimately, like I was saying before, our main objective from this standpoint is to look to try to retest this prior high back at 68, let's just say 38. So what we are looking at right now is my volatility-based stop loss in perfect action, okay? Every trade and every day has a different stop loss based on the volatility of the day specific. So when taking a look at this trade specifically, you can see that we came relatively close to getting stopped out, okay? However, we did not get stopped out, and we ultimately reversed just like we were expecting. Now, obviously a bit deeper of a correction, but everything was within the wheelhouse of what we were expecting. And as you can soon see here in just a few seconds, we ended up getting that first target as it hits right there. And then with a little bit more patience, we did end up getting the second target as well. Now just be aware, after you get your first target, you do want to stop the risk, which is why we did pull the stop up to right around and or above our entry pivot, okay? Now from this standpoint, again, we were just waiting, being patient. And I was referencing in this part of the video what we talked about in our afternoon game plan videos, okay? I was basically saying that we were looking at this in terms of that green case scenario that we mentioned on our nightly recap videos, and that we were essentially looking for a continuation going higher, okay? Now we kind of phased that back to where we were. We did have that bigger move that went up, and now this is the three-legged pullback, and again, the retest to the high. Now, at the very least, I am expecting it to retest the high and potentially continue going higher, which is why we have those targets above us, okay? But in essence, we ended up getting that next target with a bit of patience. Definitely some patience was required. And then we ended up tightening up our stop loss and then getting trailed out without hitting the extension, okay? Now, all in all, this was a $2,500 trade. So if you want to be a part of the situation just like this, then be sure to look down below for the Discourse Guys Patreon links, or come and join the muted, delayed live stream every 9:30 here on the YouTube channel.